Hi everyone, Rachel Crow. So today I wanted to talk about circles and holding circles and the difference between women's circles and workshops, because I think there's quite a lot of confusion going on out there. So I just want to clarify what I think it is anyway. So yeah, I think it's interesting, having been someone who's held circles for nearly 30 years, which makes me feel old. Over the years I've always had women coming to circle and going, oh, I could do this, and maybe they can, maybe they can, but it's like there's a little reminder here for those people who do that to really take into account that those of us that have been holding circles for 30 years have that experience, and a lot of the skill in holding a circle is being in touch with this vessel. This vessel is my barometer of what's going on in the space. It's called being clairsentient. Most of us are clairsentient. There's not a massive skill in being clairsentient. Our bodies are telling us all the time what's going on in the room. Yet there are also a lot of people who block their bodies, so are not what I call embodied. It's one of those words that's been going around for a few years. If you're not embodied, how can you feel what's going on in the room? So many people are not embodied because of their trauma, or just because of the difficulty they have in living in the density of the earth. So it's really easy to disengage and just not be here, not be present, even when you've paid a lot of money to be at a workshop or be in a circle. You kind of just take yourself somewhere else, and often where you're going is into your own story and into your own trauma. So one of the things that we do when we're holding circle is we have to be very grounded and very in touch with our bodies, and we may have a plan for what the circle is, but the plan needs to go totally out the window, because as soon as we step into that field of energy, which is the circle, we're getting that resonant feedback, and it's not empathy. Empathy is very different. And one of the things I've been learning over the years, because I always used to say, oh, I'm empathic and I'm sensitive, and it was kind of like a victim space of like, I feel too much and it's too hard. Actually, when you're empowered and embodied, you learn to kind of go, that's not my stuff, and it's not my job to transmute it. It's your shit. You need to deal with it, love. Hold the mirror up. Empathicness can be quite codependent. It's where you feel like it's your job to transform all the crap of the world, which I've been there, done that, which is another reason why, I'd always suggest going to a teacher that's been through the mill a little bit and knows what they're talking about. And that's one of the other things. Is like, I've been to many workshops over the years, many talks over the years, and there are a lot of people that really know their stuff. Maybe they've got a degree in it, or they've studied it to hell, but if they haven't embodied it, they can't teach it. And there are some people who are natural teachers and some people who just are not. I mean, I feel like I am a natural teacher. I could probably teach anything, but I actually only want to teach what I've embodied and what I really know, so that I'm not constantly looking at notes and feeling like this isn't, I don't know this stuff. So you need to really know something. I mean, even like when you're sharing your story, you need to really know your story and not be reading it from a piece of paper. So yeah, I mean, I was told very early on by my Reiki teacher that I was a teacher, and I had always thought maybe when I was younger that I would be a school teacher. I'm so glad I didn't go into that role. But I did do a teacher training because I wanted to understand how to be a teacher, and doing a teacher training, you learn how the different ways people learn. Some people learn through reading and seeing and visual, and some people learn through hearing, and some people learn through feeling, and you have to tick all those boxes when you're a teacher. You have to make sure you're engaging everybody in all those different ways. So digressing a little bit, but it was interesting doing the teacher training, because there were people who'd been teachers for years, and they were just teachers because they had a degree in a subject. Physics teacher didn't mean they were a good teacher. And you know, you probably all identify with that at school. It's like we all had teachers that were really boring. They might have known their subject, but they didn't really know how to teach it in an engaging way. So that is one of the other things of, you know, being someone who's putting out workshops and holding circles. You have to be, in some ways, an engaging personality for people to want to come to you. You know, if you're pretty dry and boring, it's not good. It's not a good way to do it, is it? So you know, we have to be grounded, and we have to be embodied, and we have to have a really clear sense of what's mine and what's yours. You know, otherwise we can really easily get enmeshed. And when you're holding space for others, it's like, you know, this is about practice, and it is about boundaries, and it's about holding compassion for people, but not getting pulled into their stuff with your empathy. And there is a real etiquette in holding space, and an etiquette in sharing. And I learned a lot of that in recovery program, in recovery meetings. You know, over 20 years of sitting in recovery meetings. And seeing when things are done well and seeing when things are done badly. But there are so many, you know, kind of faux pas that go on in circles. Like, one of the things we talk about is cross-sharing. So someone's just shared their really traumatic, whatever it is, and you just immediately go into your even worse, same thing, but even worse. You know, it's called cross-sharing. You're going to just pick a bit of their story and enmesh it in yours. And you know, actually, when you're sharing in a circle, you're completely present with the person who's sharing, and they're completely present with you too. And if they're not being completely present with themselves and the group, then, you know, they're probably going to end up oversharing. They're probably going to end up being completely unaware if they've overshared. They're completely unaware of the reaction of what's going on in the circle to what's being said. You know, a lot of people, I used to work in addiction, doing one-to-one counselling, and you know, the horror stories that I heard from people, from addicts, especially the ones that are still in active addiction. I didn't work with them for a long time, but they were completely numb to their stories. They weren't feeling it. It was like this rote that they would play off of, like their childhood trauma, or you know, the prostitution, or you know, whatever it, the abuse. You know, they couldn't feel it because it was too much. And that's where you're not connected to yourself, you're not embodied. So if you're not embodied and you're sharing in a circle and you're not really aware of, you're just sharing it because it's something to say, or it's a bit of drama, and you're not aware that actually you might be triggering loads of people in the room. And if you're aware and you're doing that, you tone it down, you bring it back. But, you know, for people who are not in that space in themselves, you know, that's where it's up to the person holding the group to really rein it in. And there's ways that people avoid allowing that to happen. So I've seen women sitting in circle where they will not have eye contact or not even look at the person holding the circle. They will even close their eyes while they're sharing. So it completely cut off from the group. There's just two little ways of people not engaging. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's kind of like, what's your reason for wanting to either hold a circle or be in a circle? Is it just somewhere to go to dump your shit? Are you going there to grow? Because I only want people who come to my circles because they're willing to let go of that old stuff and to really grow and be present in the moment, present with what, you know, it's when I call the circle and I ask people to share how they're doing. It's like, how are you doing in this very moment? I don't want to know what you're doing in 3 days' time, and I don't want to know what you did yesterday. I want to know how you are right now in this moment. How are you feeling? You know, it's kind of like, what's going on for you? And this is the, you know, the difference for me is like, I hold workshop space. I used to hold red tents, and I used to hold moon lodges, and I used to hold women's circles, and I don't anymore. But the difference between me holding workshop space is I'm the person that's designed the evening or the day that you're coming to, and you're paying me for it. Whereas the red tent and the moon lodge space was, I'm opening my space for women to come. We all take turns holding the circle. We all share from the same place, and we put something in the donation pot, or we bring food to share, or we bring wood for the fire, and other than that, there's no real charge for it. So that's, you know, for me, the difference between a women's circle, a support circle, and in that circle you can bring your, oh my God, this month's been really hard, and blah blah blah. And for me, those circles are about building community. You know, the community that we have from, you know, all the years of red tents and moon lodges and gatherings and ceremonies and all the things that, you know, the women here have done with me and other women, has built an amazing community. And, you know, I've shared photographs of things that we do, and people go, oh my God, that looks amazing. You know, well, it's amazing because we've done the work. We sat together, we worked through our wounds, we worked through our judgments, we worked through, you know, our kind of vulnerability, all of it. We've sat together, we bled together, you know, we did ceremony together, we sat on the earth together, we've done yoni steaming together. It's like we've got down and got gritty, and out of that comes the beauty of the community that we have. But, you know, that can't be reproduced by just, you know, rocking up to a circle and suddenly that's there. It takes years of being together and really being together. So yeah, and I think the other thing that I just want to say to finish with is, you know, when you're in a circle space and you're really present and listening to somebody, you're not thinking about what you're going to say when your turn comes. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons in surrender, is just trust when the talking piece comes to you, whatever it is, whether it's a crystal or a beautiful feather or a bowl. You just say what is present in the moment and trust that what comes out of your mouth in that moment is what is needed to say. Because, you know, I used to rehearse things many years ago when I first started. It's like, oh, I'm going to talk about this, and it's like, actually in the moment what ended up happening was I would just speak from the heart. And that's what we are all meant to be doing at the moment, is being in our hearts and speaking from our hearts and sharing from our hearts. And sometimes that is just like saying your name and saying, I'm grateful to be here. You know, it doesn't always have to be a drama, it doesn't always have to be a trauma. It could be, you know, I'm here and I'm open to learn, I'm here and I'm open to listen, and I'm here because I want to support all you beautiful people in the room, whatever it is. But there's a big difference between sitting open-hearted in a space and coming to a space just to receive and dump your crap and not listen to others and not be aware that that's what you're doing. You know, it's like, you know, we're in a time where it's all about becoming aware. Be really aware of yourself and your actions. We're in a time of mastery. You know, I heard a beautiful quote the other day, which was, you know, there's no time left for the mystery schools. Every day we're in mystery school. Every day is an opportunity to build our mastery. So let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's all be in that place of being conscious of what we're doing, what we're saying, who we're being with other people. I think that's my message for today, is, you know, step into your mastery, step into your consciousness. Lots of love.